The kid that we were starving also had cancer. Ha! It's like, okay, so you're literally starving a cancer child. How is that in any way, shape, or form supposed to defend your position? It didn't make the position better. It made it worse. What do you mean? This correction has only made you more evil in my eyes. So while I do think that the purpose of this kind of whitewashing, laundering narrative is to basically get people on board to say, maybe it's not a genocide or whatever, and these people are just like dying, like it's Holocaust denial, right? I don't think it's working. It works only on people that already are fully on board with what Israel is doing. It gives them, I guess, like some space to navigate conversations, to point to something falsely. But for the average public, this is not moving them away from their position. The only area where this works, like I've stated time and time again, is Hamas. But Hamas is the only distractive mechanism that still has some weight to it, okay? But Israel has also so consistently said everyone is Hamas that even that doesn't work, okay? Because it makes no sense. Like, the death and destruction campaign is undeniable. Bro, it works on Bernie Sanders, does it not? It works on Bernie Sanders because he is committed to the liberal Zionist position. Yeah, of course, it works on Bernie Sanders because he's already there. He doesn't need to hear but Hamas. He already thinks but Hamas. And that is precisely the reason why so many people to this day still go along with this narrative that I'm a people come in here and still say, you're J Ty, thank you for the 5 gifted. Hashem HM, thank you for the 10 gifted. The reason why they do this is because I contextualize why militant resistance exists in this region. I explained to you how Hezbollah came about, how Hamas came about, how Ansar Allah came about. I don't expect every single person to also come to this conclusion. And you can argue you can argue with me on whether or not you think I'm wrong about something, but you can't just simply say, oh, but Hamas, because that's just a thought terminating cycle. That is a thought-terminating term that you are utilizing specifically to stop this conversation. Bro, will you talk about anything else? Okay, take a shower, shower 21.
This morning, the global impact of the desperation in Gaza, where the pause to let some aid in continues, but the hunger is severe. Yesterday, an airdrop of aid landing in the sea. Palestinians risking their lives for a taste of food. The Israeli government has said there is no starvation.
For the record, under normal circumstances, Israel will be shooting these guys. The only reason why they have stopped their military operations in certain areas after telling Palestinians that they're not allowed to go into the water is because of all the bad press they got over this past couple of weeks.
And said Hamas is behind the pain in Gaza.
Who is responsible for this tough reality? I answered, this is Hamas.
On his trip abroad, President...
Yeah, this is, it's Hamas, Hamas terrorists, over and over again, right? This is why when I hear that from someone who says, yeah, what Israel's doing is wrong, but Hamas, it functionally is no different than what Israel is saying, okay? Just because on the one side you are like, oh, well, Israel's doing a genocide, but Hamas, just because you come to that recognition doesn't mean you believe it. You're just saying that as a way to create a permission structure for why you think, who you truly think is responsible for the death and destruction. That's it. That's it. But Hamas is simply a way to try. Do you condemn Hamas? But Hamas. These are mechanisms to try and offer credence to Israel's genocide. There are no two sides in a genocide. You don't say, but the Jewish partisans when talking about the Holocaust. Well, some do. They're Holocaust deniers. They're Nazis themselves and neo-Nazis right now. Okay?
President Trump has spoken out. yesterday discussing the First Lady's reaction.
She thinks it's terrible. And those are kids, whether they talk starvation or not, those are kids that are starving.
Saying the U.S. sent $60 million for food aid and will soon open its own food centers in Gaza.
We're going to get a lot of money to the area so they can get some food.
While home.
Dude, this is so funny. Did you see what Mike from PA said recently about the Jewish ethnicity? Really messed up. I'm not sure if you talked about it, okay? Click on the user card. Hasn't spoken in here since October 7. One time. Is this a good source? Twitter. One time to be like, your source is Twitter? Erming. I don't know what the Mike from PA said, but I don't think you are an honest actor here. I don't think you are a fan that's coming in following this October 25th or April 25th, 2020, and noticeably absent from the conversation since October 7, 2023, only to come back once on 5/19/2024 to go, is this a good source? Twitter. And then to turn around and be like, what did Mike from PA say? I don't know what the Mike from PA said. I don't give a shit, okay? And I don't care about what your concern is. Let's be real. You are not concerned. You are just trying to simply farm a clip. Again, do you feel the walls closing in on you? Do you feel that? Does that make you scared a little bit? That every day, every single day, more and more people are coming to the conclusion that Israel is doing a genocide? Does that scare you a little bit? That your position is untenable and more people are aware that it is untenable? That more and more people are aware that this is a horrifying reality that has unfolded? Does that scare you a little bit? You have the option. You have anonymity. You don't have to try and farm clips. You could just easily be like, you know what? I don't think that this is appropriate. Yeah, see? Look. Doesn't mean you can say horrible shit about Jewish people. Like I said, I'm not Michael from Pennsylvania. I'm HasanAbi Piker, okay? But everything I do know about Michael from Pennsylvania, I assume that he was clip-chimped, okay? Again, Israel is genociding Palestinians. I was just wondering if you condemned it. No, you are not wondering anything. You are looking for a clip. You're looking for me to defend it or something. I'm not. So now you're going to talk about it? No, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not. Go take it up with Mike. Okay? I can't believe you're drama baiting while we're in the process of talking about literally even the likes of Marjorie Taylor fucking Greene calling the Gaza humanitarian crisis a... What do you think is more newsworthy in this moment? You trying to actively get a clip off to be like, Hasan defends Michael from Pennsylvania. I'm not. I don't know what he said, and I don't care, quite frankly. Okay? Go take it up with him. I care about what's going on right now. And you should too. You should too. Okay? Everybody always tries to find anything they possibly can. What is this? I mean, this doesn't mean it. Oh, Loner Box, Relevant, Chud Logic, Hunter Avalon, Stardust, Keffels. I wonder what this guy's point of view is. H3 Productions. He said a slur. Let's not defend him today. I don't know what the fuck he said. I'm not defending him. I don't give a shit. My point is, I don't give a fuck, okay? Literally, every single time there is anyone, myself included, you are quite literally in the chat of someone who has been actively clip-chimped into oblivion, okay? By bad faith actors. Shut. Anytime someone says this is unconscionable, anytime somebody says this is a genocide, people literally try to find any moment they can to be like, this is a bad person. Okay? I promise there's a secret reason for why this person, there's a secret hidden reason for why this person is actually against Israel's genocide. Not on the conditions that it's a genocide. It's because they're actually secretly anti-Semitic. Okay? I'm not responsible for other people or in what you have seen of their statements. Okay? I don't care. Let's continue.
In the U.S., political fallout is growing. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Trump ally, writing, "It's the most truthful and easiest thing to say that October 7th in Israel was horrific and all hostages must be returned. But so is the genocide, humanitarian crisis, and starvation happening in Gaza." Israel has denied the accusation of genocide, but other Republicans disagree with Green, and many, while condemning the hunger, say Hamas is at fault.
Good afternoon, everyone. You've got a terrorist group like Hamas operating in that region. They're going to intercept and divert a lot of that food aid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's the Hamas. Hamas is intercepting and diverting
That's going in there.
Yesterday, 40 Senate Democrats sending a letter to the Trump administration pushing for more aid.
Very, very disappointing. The Netanyahu government has choked off humanitarian aid since virtually the very beginning, but most brutally recently.
While tensions continue to be high, at a town hall in Illinois yesterday, Democratic Congressman Bill Foster repeatedly interrupted by audience members against the war.
What the fuck do they think Hamas does with food aid? It doesn't matter. But Hamas is like to stop the conversation. Hamas is a terrorist group, but Hamas, shut the fuck up. That's what it is. Listen, anytime someone says, but Hamas, or do you condemn Hamas, understand that the purpose of that, you should just substitute it with, why do you care about this? Shut the fuck up about this. I don't want to hear about this. That's it. That's it. That is the only purpose, okay? Why is Hamas stealing food aid? Because they're evil. It's Hamas. What do you mean? Are you defending Hamas? Do you defend terrorism? Are you defending terrorism? Doesn't matter that it's been debunked a million times over. Doesn't matter that it makes no logical sense. Oh, they're stealing aid so they can like get more support and get more people on board to fight against what? Israel's genocide of the Palestinian population? Is that what you're saying? Because guess what? Hamas, in that regard, in defense of the Palestinian population, is both engaging in an act that is legal under international human rights. Legal, but it's also moral, okay? This is not an assessment of October 7. Everything past that point of Israel's illegal occupation and bombardment of the Gaza Strip that is a genocide, anything that the spontaneous militia has engaged in, whether it's Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, PFLP, DFLP, or even former Fatah members, anytime that they shoot and kill an Israeli soldier in the Gaza Strip, okay, inside of the Gaza Strip, they are literally engaging in a legal act. Anytime an Israeli soldier steps foot inside of the Gaza Strip, they are engaging in an illegal act. Do you understand? It's not even black. It's not even a gray area. Okay. This is legally black and white. Doesn't matter what the people say on television. Do you understand? It does not matter. And beyond the legal argument, it is the moral thing to do. Okay. Same with the West Bank. Exactly. The Jenin brigades in the West Bank are legal. They are legally defending their ancestral homeland. They have the right and responsibility recognized under international human rights to actively smoke Israeli occupying force troops because the Israeli occupying force's presence is illegal in the West Bank. It's ridiculous. No one ever wants to say the truth, and it makes me so angry. Okay? It is quite literally legal. I know it's hard to comprehend this because everything you've been taught, all the social conditioning that you have heard from television, from stereotyping in the media, from every book that you've read implies scary Muslim, brown, don't know about that, probably don't have a right to defend itself. But it doesn't matter. Under international rights, under international law, Palestinians have a legal right to defend themselves. Okay? They do, both in the West Bank and in the Gaza Strip. Under international human rights, Israel does not have a right to occupy militarily the West Bank or even the Gaza Strip. But because they are a belligerent occupier on the Gaza Strip, Israel does not have any right to bomb the Gaza Strip. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? This is just like a fundamental truth. It is literally just in the books. Like, it is quite literally the truth, okay? And yet, you will never hear that from mainstream media. No one will ever even touch that. It is the third rail. No one can say this fundamental truth. It blows my mind. People only recognize it when the people defending their homeland is Ukrainian. They're white. Only then do they recognize it. Of course, Ukraine has a fundamental right under human rights to defend their borders, a sovereign nation defending its borders from an illegal and horrifyingly bloody invasion from another country, the Russians. But when it's brown people doing it, everyone goes, well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. It's ridiculous. I have been consistent on this over and over again, just like my advocacy for a ceasefire has been consistent over and over again for years at this point.
And in Gaza, the fighting crossed a grim threshold yesterday. Palestinian health officials said 60,000 people have been killed since Hamas's October 7th terror attacks in 2023. And yesterday, the United Kingdom said it will recognize Palestinian statehood unless Israel agrees to a ceasefire by September and improves the humanitarian situation in Gaza.
Have you considered that I find you anti-Semitic purely based on vibes and my racism? I have considered that. Many people who say I'm anti-Semitic are either themselves ironically anti-Semitic or or it is just pure racism when they're like, well, he's Muslim, he's a scary Islamist. Hilarious to say that I, of all people, am an Islamist. Whatever that means.
That would make the UK the second G7 country to offer that recognition. Savannah?
Matt Bradley in Tel Aviv, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
This morning, international pressure growing on Israel to end the war in Gaza as UN-backed experts warn the worst-case scenario of famine is playing out. Now, in a major break with Israel, the United Kingdom saying if a ceasefire isn't agreed on by September, it'll recognise a Palestinian state.
I've always said that we will recognise a Palestinian state as a contribution to a proper peace process at the moment of maximum impact for the two-state solution. With that solution now under threat, this is the moment to act.
Israel condemning the UK's announcement, Netanyahu saying Starmer rewards Hamas's monstrous terrorism and punishes its victims. Searing images of starving children have unleashed a torrent of condemnation and calls for a ceasefire. Despite the massive pressure, Prime Minister Netanyahu denies there's starvation in Gaza. President Trump, on his trip to Scotland this week, asked if he agrees with Netanyahu.
Some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And you can't fake that. So we're going to be even more involved.
This morning, new satellite images showing the crush to get food in Gaza. After blocking aid for months, Israel now allowing food and medicine to be dropped from the air and delivered by land. On the ground, scores of Palestinians braving the water to try to grab what aid they can from the bundles dropped from above. Young children running into the water for basics like salt, flour and sugar. This man saying the flour is drenched, calling it humiliation, not aid.
Well, we just had a statement from the families of hostages.
Yeah, all of the recognition of a Palestinian state, as I already described, is bullshit for the most part. It's just it's a way for these countries to posture against Israel in basically the least offensive way that they can do, I guess, or the least abrasive way that they can do. There are plenty of countries that have already recognized the Palestinian statehood. And even in those countries like Ireland, for example, they still can't do anything beyond. They still can't get like BDS implemented, you know? And the conditions that they offer for Palestinian statehood recognition are basically non-starters. It is by design. They are trying to suppress and quell the public resentment. Okay? That's it. And the funniest, the most tragicomic version of this was obviously what Keir Starmer, also known as Kid Starver, did. Okay? Because he basically gave the game away. He gave the game away by saying, we're going to recognize by September the Palestinian statehood with these other ridiculous conditions unless you let aid in. Like, what do you mean? Statehood recognition should come as a condition to let in aid? What are you talking about? What the are you talking about? What do you mean unless? No, state recognition should happen regardless. They're basically trying to put a timeline on Israel's genocidal activities to be concluded, while simultaneously literally giving in to all of the Israeli state's goals that are understandably non-starters for the Palestinians. Non-starters such as, yeah, I mean, they're basically saying, oh, if you comply and render some aid, because it's up the bag for all of us, unless you do that, We're going to start recognizing Palestinians as humans. That's crazy. I'm telling you, man. I mean, when the dust settles, like, it is so crazy to me. Like, I think this will be treated, you know, if history has a slant towards justice, I think this will be treated in the same way that we look back at like human zoos and shit. Like the dehumanizing ways in which we have bargained with Palestinian lives. Straight up. That's what it is. It is crazy. If you're opposed to a two-state solution, why are you recognizing what? You cannot have a state, especially one that is currently actively being genocided, without a military. Like, what are we talking about? No standing military implies no sovereignty. That is literally what Israel wants, so they can turn Gaza into the West Bank once they're done with with as much ethnic cleansing as they can get away with. That's what Mark Carney has also added. Part of the reason why these leaders are even entertaining this notion, by the way, is because it's gotten to a point where something must give. Okay, that's it. That's why. So they think that this like bullshit, this bullshit is going to be enough to soothe the interests of the masses. You are a rampant anti-Semite and God is going to punish you. That's such a funny thing to say to someone like myself. I'm an anti-Semite because I say Israel's genocide has nothing to do with Judaism. You, on the other hand, someone who is pro-Jew, are saying, no, you don't understand. Israel's genocide is actually a foundational tenet of Judaism. Between us, who do you think is anti-Semitic? Me, a guy who says Jews are not a monolith and anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism, and that Israel's violent actions have nothing to do with Judaism or the international Jewish community? Or you, a guy who says, no, actually, Israel's genocide is good and it's doing it for Jews? Who between us is closer to Hitlerian politics, you think? Go ahead, answer. I unbanned you. The gall of these morons is so funny. It's just like these guys, they fall apart under like a fraction of scrutiny. That's it. Is Zoran younger than you? No, we're literally the same age.
Hostages still being held inside Gaza right now, also criticising the UK's announcement as rewarding terrorism. I think they, like many here, want their loved ones home first and then a rapid end to this war. Guys?
Yes, such a crisis. 662 days since they were taken hostage by Hamas. All right, Ian, thank you.
The sheer number of deaths in Gaza is bleak and horrifying, and it also tells the story of this grim war. Sky News has been given exclusive data showing every Palestinian who has been killed in Gaza since the war began. It's from the Gaza Health Ministry. Israel disputes this data, saying the ministry is run by Hamas, and it's criticised the numbers for not distinguishing between fighters and civilians. But Sky News has independently verified the data, which includes names.
You know what's crazy? I know what Israel's assessment is. They say they use the same numbers. They use the same numbers that the Hamas-run Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza has. They just say every person died. Every person that died is Hamas. Literally. There are markers on Israeli news, I remember, where they would straight up be like, every person that has died is Hamas. Like all the babies, Hamas.
For the first time, dates of death. That helps us to understand how the war has unfolded, how Israel has pursued its targets, and which have been Gaza's deadliest days. This is Ahmed al-Hassa. He was Hamas's justice minister, and he was killed when an Israeli airstrike hit his home in the early hours of Tuesday, the 18th of March. But also killed in the strike were his wife Fatima and 6 of their children.
By the way, this person is a civil servant. I need you to understand something. That is a war crime. Obviously, additional war crime, considering that you also killed his entire family. Like assassinating the attorney general and taking down the entire city block that the attorney general of the United States lives in. This person, because remember, Hamas is both a political party that governs Gaza, so every single person that is involved in civil affairs is literally Hamas party member. That doesn't mean that they took up arms against Israel and participated in October 7th. There's a separate group, the Al-Qassam Brigades, which is the militant wing of Hamas. Okay? So when Sky News promotes this, or when Sky News is like talking about this, if they don't mention that reality, they're basically defending Israel's actions against a civil servant. Israel has used this designation over and over again to actively and deliberately target civil servants over and over again, like the police chief, like the education ministry, like the secretary of education in the Gaza Strip. Like they kill him, they kill his whole family, they go, oh, it's Hamas.
The youngest, twin girls, Banan and Janan.
So understand that, like, just because his family was slaughtered alongside him, like, it's not up because his family was also targeted. It's up because he was targeted. It is illegal to be targeted. It is illegal for him to be targeted like this.
He's just 6 years old. While Ahmed was a clear Israeli target, his family were the collateral damage of that morning's attack. That Tuesday, the 18th of March, was the day that Israel broke a fragile ceasefire. By sunrise at 6 a.m., at least 242 people had already been killed. But by the end of the day, that number stood at 465 people, making the 18th of March one of the deadliest days of the war. And since then, more than 8,500 people...
No, he was the clear Israeli target. It's just they should say it's illegal. Yeah, this is from March 18th. Hamas announces that 5 senior members of its political bureau were killed yesterday evening in the Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. 6 government officials have been killed in Israel's latest strikes. Head of government work follow-up, Issam al-Dalis. Yasser Harb, member of the Hamas political bureau. Mohammed al-Jamazi, member of the political bureau of Hamas. Ahmed al-Hatta, Undersecretary of the Ministry of Justice. Major General Mahmoud Abu Watfa, Undersecretary of the Ministry of Interior. Martyr Commander Major General Bashar Abu Sultan, Director of the Internal Security Service. Out of all of these guys, even this guy is involved in civil affairs, but Yahya Sinwar was also a part of the General Internal Security Service within the Gaza Strip, so you can make an argument that they're still technically can be combatants, but even then it's bullshit. Okay? Understand that these are not valid military targets. These are members that are involved in state affairs, involved in civil governance. Israel has openly declared them enemies. Israel has openly targeted them. Israel has celebrated targeting them. They're not even combatants. Okay? They're not. Barak Ravid says, under the Netanyahu government, Israel is suffering its biggest diplomatic collapse since 1948. Oh, womp womp. I wish that was true.
Have been killed in Gaza.
Hamas is not civil governance, Lamau. Yes, it is. Yes, you're wrong. It is. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Again, this is not a gray area. Okay? You wrong. That's it. And what you can do in this situation is recognize that you're wrong and shut the f up, or you can continue being wrong. It's one or the other. I suspect you'll go along with the other. You are wrong. Hamas is civil governance. There is a political bureau within Hamas, and then there is the militant wing. I already described it. The Al-Qassam Brigades are the militant wing of Hamas. Okay? This is rules of war. I don't know why chatters are so confident. I don't know why chatters are so confident about the notion that that they're just simply wrong. Okay? Hamas is the official government of Gaza. Hamas has a civil governance political division. Ismail Haniyeh, for example, the principal negotiator that Israel killed, had never picked up a weapon in his life. Ismail Haniyeh was the chief of the political wing of Hamas. He was a civilian. Israel still assassinated him in Tehran, as a matter of fact, in a totally sovereign separate nation in Iran. But he was still a member of the Politburo. So the Hamas government aligns themselves with terrorists? Oh my God, this is a joke, right? The designation of terrorism is so that you say dumb shit like this. You understand? That's the whole point. So you say, oh, the Hamas government aligns themselves with terrorists. Everyone is considered a terrorist under the American government's vision, under the Israeli government's vision, okay? The only way you would understand this reality is if, I don't know, they assassinated Pam Bondi or something. if China assassinated Pambani. Other notable examples of both civilian and military wing includes the IRA, Zapatista, Hezbollah, and the PKK. Yes. Anyway, ask yourself why 22 months in you still fundamentally misunderstand this thing. To put it in American terms, it would be like if Iran decided to assassinate the EPA secretary because Trump and his military decided to bomb Iran. Yes. There are 2.2 million people living in the Gaza Strip before the Israeli genocide. Okay? They have schools. They had schools. They had mosques. They had hospitals. Someone has to manage all of these things. They had a government. Do you think that they just literally were living in mud huts and tents? They had universities. What they are both doing is terrorism. No, that is not the truth, okay? The vague designation for terrorism doesn't stand here because Israel is the greatest terrorist, okay? Israel in this, if your metric for terrorism is well, both what Hamas is doing and what ISIS is doing, then Israel is a far greater terrorist. America is a far greater terrorist than both of these guys, okay? So what do you mean? Hamas is a part of a unified resistance front. It has a nationalist, emancipatory goal. Hamas does not operate outside of historically occupied Palestinian territories. They never have, and they never will, probably. ISIS, on the other hand, is an exterminationist, what you would consider jihadist group, okay? They have colonial ambitions. And they're also aligned themselves with Israel quite frequently.
The Al-Hassan family we mentioned at the start, here in green. They are just one family among thousands of people who have been killed. And they are among more than 60,000 Palestinians who have died since the start of the conflict on October the 7th, 2023. Now, this is the full data set of every death per day since the war began. The numbers here paint a very clear picture of how the conflict has evolved over the last 21 months. And here in green, you can see the deadliest days of the conflict, days when there have been more than 450 deaths. Most of those at the start of the conflict. There have been 17 of them in total since October the 7th. And we found a pattern here in the data. On every one of these deadliest days, there was a larger share of people who were killed alongside their family members. On average, 44%, nearly half of people who died were killed alongside at least one family member, compared to 30% on the other less deadly days. So our analysis...
Both in Hamas and Israel, ma'am? Wait, really? Do you think the Jewish partisans were terrorists during the Holocaust? Or do you think that terrorism was an appropriate designation for the Nazi state? There are no both sides in a genocide. You sound like a moron. Of course people are going to resist against genocide. Don't try to do this both sides bullshit, okay? I already described this over and over again, but I will continue to describe this. Hamas and every single Palestinian that takes up arms against the Israeli genocide at this moment, or even before this moment, since October 7, is participating in a legal act of resistance that is recognized as a legal act of militant resistance by the international humanitarian laws, okay? Israel, as the belligerent occupier, is engaging in an illegal act by bombing Gaza. A single bomb dropped in Gaza is an illegal act. Doesn't matter. I didn't say October 7 is legal, okay? We're not talking about tactics. We're talking about what has happened since October 7. Every single Palestinian that takes up arms and kills an Israeli soldier in the Gaza Strip is quite literally engaging in a legal act of resistance under international human rights. It is a legal act of resistance, and it not only is it legal, it's moral. Like, it's literally both legal and moral. It's a twofer. It's correct. As far as October 7 goes, yes, there were acts of atrocities that took place on October 7 conducted by the Palestinian resistance front that is comprised of every single Palestinian resistance movement that chose to take up arms in this military operation. And yes, there were atrocities that took place, okay? And under international law, you are supposed to set that standard against the violence that the population has seen up until that moment. And in that process, You are supposed to adjudicate evenly. You're supposed to look at what kind of violence unfolded. If someone is like going around like spraying children, yeah, they're going to go to prison. Okay. If there's a Truth and Reconciliation Committee, that militant would go to jail. If there's someone going around doing mass rapes, that person would go to jail. It's normal. It's understandable. Okay. Having said that, kidnapping operations, for example, or taking prisoners of war like Hamas did, that would be most likely, and I don't know, I'm not an international human rights lawyer, I'm not a judge at the ICJ, but that would be that would be matched against why this happened. People would look to the underlying causes of why October 7 happened, and then they would make this assessment on whether this was an appropriate act of violence, even if it is technically illegal under international humanitarian law. Because the Israeli blockade that has existed since 2006 in the Gaza Strip is already humanitarian law. It's not legal. That's completely ridiculous. Just as Israel's occupation of the West Bank is illegal. People often will talk about how Hamas is lobbing rockets over the Palestinian border that Israel had created and would say, "You're ridiculous, law." Wait, what's ridiculous about that? No. Don't say you're ridiculous. Explain to me what I'm wrong about. Okay? You can't just say like, "Oh, you're ridiculous." Don't be vague. This is back and forth discourse. You can openly state what you consider to be ridiculous. If Hamas did newspeak like Western governments, it would have sounded like on October 7, Hamas forces executed an operation to arrest terrorists in possession of stolen property. The operation didn't go as planned, but there was unintended collateral damage. It doesn't mean atrocities didn't happen, but it is the language sterilization of all governments. Yeah, they can't do that, though, because they're already internationally recognized as a terrorist entity. Okay, why is it ridiculous? When a trafficked woman kills her pimp father, you can't just say murder is bad and family is important. Apples and oranges is an analogy, but it's still fruit. You know, I think that's a decent analog here for sure. You have to address each and every take one by one. No, I don't think this is stupid to address. The reason why I am addressing this is because there are still people who have hangups when I talk about this issue that I think is of importance. Okay? No, it's worth doing. It's worth addressing people's delusions even sometimes. It's worth addressing because maybe not for that person, but there might be 10 or 20 other people that are encountering my commentary on this for the first time ever to hear and change their mind on this. You know, this is my job.
Analysis of this pattern suggests that entire families were killed in their homes or in shelters, likely while they were sleeping. Let's go back to March the 18th. You can see here is the ceasefire. There are fewer deaths before it and then a big jump in deaths. On the 18th itself, 62% of people were killed alongside at least one family member. That is the highest family strike share of the whole war. And when we take a closer look at the number of those who died that day, you can see that women and children make up 68% of the total. We've investigated each of these deaths in the data against social media posts and footage from the day, geolocating as many pieces of video as possible to show the impact of the violence and to verify what happened that day. Like the Jargoon family. Aid Jargoon and his cousin Mina Jargoon were both killed alongside their families at Aid's home in Rafah. This video, verified by Sky News, shows some of their bodies being retrieved from the rubble. 17 family members were killed in total that day. The IDF told Sky News that one family member, Jihad Jargoon, ran a Hamas weapons work.
Well, all of a sudden they can do real journalism? No, even now they're not. For the record, even now they're not doing real journalism because they're saying that like Israel's targeting procedures are justifiable when you're talking about members of government that are involved in civil affairs. It's not correct. And also they're still using the 60,000 number, which is so low. The correct way to approach this is to say the underestimate from the health ministry in Gaza is putting this at 60,000, but due to how crippled the medical infrastructure is, due to Israeli bloodshed and Israel's death and destruction campaign, this is a severe undercount, and that numerous studies that have been conducted at this point by both Harvard and Lancet have put the estimations above 200,000. The other side of this that I don't actually like, is also, like I said, covering covering this as like, oh, well, it's just this much is women and children, and some of these guys are Hamas health ministry individuals or whatever. It's like, okay, well, That doesn't mean you can kill them.
Shot, we haven't been able to independently verify this. This is where it happened. Rafah in the south of Gaza, those are the bodies being carried out there. But this was just one of 30 strikes and incidents we've been able to Gaza all on that same day. Now, in response to our findings, the IDF said it was targeting Hamas and that it instructs its commanders to apply the basic rule of the law of armed conflict, particularly of distinction and proportionality. But most of those killed, as we said, were women and children. And all of that, well, that is just one day out of the hundreds of this war and the tens of thousands of Palestinian deaths it has caused and continues to cause in the absence of a ceasefire.
For the reasons I cited earlier, Canada intends to recognize the State of Palestine at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September 2025. This intention is predicated on the Palestinian Authority's commitment to much-needed reforms, including commitments by the Palestinian Authority's President Abbas to fundamentally reform its governance, to hold general elections in 2026 in which Hamas can play no part, and to demilitarize the Palestinian state. Canada will increase its efforts in supporting strong democratic governance in Palestine and the contributions of its people to a more peaceful and hopeful future.
He wants the world to know what he witnessed in Gaza. Anthony Aguilar, a retired...
The demilitarization is a non-starter. I think it's completely ridiculous. I mean, look, don't make perfect the enemy of the good, certainly. But having said that, while this is a move in the right direction, it is too little too late, and it also serves a nefarious purpose. It is one, to basically silence the opposition, to offer them a pressure valve, to get them to stop screaming about the death and destruction that Israel is committed to. And it is also to abide by Israel's goals. At a time when Israel has already voted to annex the West Bank, at a time when Israel has already shown that they are interested in permanently militarily occupying the Gaza Strip and creating a concentration camp in Rafah for the permanent expulsion of the remaining Palestinians there, it is so ridiculous to be like, you have to demilitarize amidst a genocide with no ceasefire conditions that have been implemented. There is no sovereignty without any sort of military power. That's just the truth. To do this, to say this while you are directly responsible for continuously funding the IDF is extra up. Okay? What does it mean? Iman Abdul Hadi says, what does it mean to recognize the state of Palestine when for 8 decades Palestinians have been systematically robbed of land, life, infrastructure, and sovereignty? These statements by France and the UK show that protest and pressure is working, but they are wrong-headed. Palestinians have to have full access to their ancestral land. They have to have full freedom, sovereignty, and equality under law from the river to the sea. Refugees must have their right to return. That means that Zionism, i.e. the system of Jewish supremacy, must be systematically dismantled institution by institution. Genocide of Palestinians is the natural consequence of Zionism, and if it is allowed to reign, then the West Bank is next and no Palestinian is safe. Okay? When politicians say they support the Palestinian state for the statement to be meaningful, it has to answer 2 follow-ups. Will Palestine be permitted to have a military independent of Israel/U.S. security architecture? Point on a map to where exactly the state will go. If the answer to 1 is no, then congratulations, that's not a state. It is a Bantustan. And the problem with Gaza settlement strategy, backed by every U.S. president with endless money and arms, has rendered any contiguous Palestinian state literally impossible. That is exactly what they did in the West Bank over the so-called peace process that extended the timeline and basically neutered any opportunity that Palestinians had for legal resistance and armed conflict in an effort to say, hey, if you play ball with us, you'll get a state maybe someday. Except they never had that intention, and they openly partitioned the areas where Palestinians live in the West Bank illegally, mind you, into non-contiguous Bantustans, just like apartheid South Africa. Okay? What the vast majority of American and European politicians support when they traffic in vague 2-state solution pablum is a fully demilitarized Bantustan that exists at the pleasure and caprice of the U.S. and Israel. This is the far left flank of acceptable opinion. It's ironic because Benjamin Netanyahu considers this a non-starter too, by the way, because of how insane Israeli society is on this issue.
U.S. Army Green Beret.
Can you explain exactly non-contiguous Non-contiguous means there is no continuation of a state. There is no like real state. It's just like piecemeal, partitioned off. Look at a map of current West Bank. Look at a map of the West Bank in like 1970, okay? And then look at a map at the West Bank with all of its settlements since the 1970s and what it looks like now. Palestinians have been physically separated from each other in their own personal homeland illegally. And curiously, all the anti-Bibi pro-Israel folks will find absolutely zero space to ever criticize him or his aims for the past 2 years. God, I hate it.
Worked as a security subcontractor for the US and Israel-backed firm, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. He's deeply shaken by what he saw. In this exclusive testimony, he reveals untold details about the GHF and its aid delivery plan. Anthony filmed this footage in Gaza.
As you can see, we're about 40 meters from the edge of the food line. I believe that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is complicit in war crimes and that they are involved in an enterprise that has failed from the beginning.
Anthony Aguilar was hired by UG Solutions, a security subcontractor for the GHF.
There are UG contractors that are in Gaza that are utilizing non-lethal munitions and lethal munitions in unauthorized ways, and people are getting hurt. Palestinians are getting hurt.
Since the end of May, the GHF has opened 4 aid distribution sites, 3 south of the Israeli-controlled Marag corridor. There are 3 incidents that are seared into Anthony's mind. One involved a Palestinian woman who was seeking aid.
A stun grenade was thrown into the crowd directly next to a Palestinian woman who was with the aid box that she had, waiting to put her items into a bag so she could leave. And a UG Solutions contractor threw a stun grenade that detonated, and the metal top of it hit this woman in the head, knocked her unconscious. She was lifeless. She wasn't moving. She was then loaded onto a donkey cart by the other woman that was with her and moved off of the site.
France 24 could not independently verify the identity of this woman or confirm if she was killed. On that day, the Hamas-controlled health ministry reported 27 Palestinians were killed close to the Rafah distribution site. On the 29th of May, at site number 4, Anthony says UG Solutions contractors fired live bullets towards Palestinian civilians.
UG contractors opened fire, and there was catcalling and celebrating it.
I think you hit one.
The bullets were being fired by a UG Solutions contractor in the southern tower of site number 4, a fully automatic machine gun. He was spraying in bursts. And the second shooter was a UG Solutions contractor who was standing on a berm, firing with his individual rifle on fully automatic into the crowd as well. What they characterized as warning shots. But these shots were being fired at the feet, over the heads, and into the crowd of the departing Palestinians.
UG Solutions says no personnel have ever directed warning shots at civilians, aiming instead upwards in the air and towards the coastline. They say the contractor heard on video was encouraging IDF fire and has been terminated. There are some faces Anthony will never forget.
A young boy.
It's crazy because there's like, it's all on video. Like, it's not, this isn't like a confusing situation at all. It's just straight up. They're not hiding it. Like, it's literally on video, bro. Look, this guy's a Green Beret turned mercenary, okay? I'm not going to sit here and say he's a good guy, but he doesn't need to be, okay? Even a bad guy can turn around and recognize even worse shit. It's just, I mean, we need people like this to speak out. Like, I don't know. I mean, these guys see exactly how horrifyingly evil Israel's actions are, that even a Green Beret turned mercenary goes, man, this is a bridge too far for me. Not gonna lie to you, big dog. This is a bit much for my taste, you know?
Hard to tell what his age was because of the starvation, maybe 7 years old. No shoes, tattered clothes, covered in dirt. No parents or adult supervision or anyone with him. He was alone. And he held out his hand. And I called him forward. And he held my hand and he kissed my hand. This young boy had nothing to do with what Hamas did on October 7th. As he walked out with this crowd, as the UG Solutions contractors were shooting warning shots and throwing stun grenades, and the Israeli Defense Forces at the position at the intersection were firing into them. That is the IDF unit, the 143rd Brigade. We had a meeting with them last night. And I came up on the berm, and I could see Palestinians, civilians. You could see their white bags lying on the ground, items spilled. I saw that, and I felt that I don't want to be a part of this.
We contacted the IDF. They did not deny the claims, but rather said, following incidents in which harm to civilians who arrived at distribution facilities was reported, thorough examinations were conducted in the Southern Command and instructions were issued to forces in the field following lessons learned. The incidents are under review by the competent authorities in the IDF. UG Solutions and the GHF deny all allegations made by Anthony Aguilar, labelling him a disgruntled former contractor who seeks revenge. Aguilar disputes this, saying that they are liars who are...
Yeah, I think it's valid for him to seek revenge, man. Like, yeah, you brought him in there. I don't know why he still thought he was going to do something good, but I guess let's say he was silly enough to think that this was going to lead to, like, actual good shit. Remember, Jake Wood, who was put in charge of the Gaza Holocaust Force, GHF, literally resigned day one. He did not even get to see the fruition of this aid trap. He straight up looked at this and was like, nope, not putting my name on this at all. He literally resigned. The guy who was in charge of the GHF resigned the first day. And he's a Marine sniper who's also turned mercenary. He literally was like, this is the Holocaust. Like, what are we doing? Nope, not going to be involved in that. I don't want to have my name be remembered in history as one of the concentration camp guards that they brought in.
Focused on money.
So tiny, so frail. Baby Watine is 3 months old, but weighs less than when she was first born. Suffering as Gaza starves. Milk and diapers, her mother says. That's all I'm asking for my daughter. If she stays like this, I'm going to lose her. Watine's mother, like so many in Gaza right now, unable to breastfeed because of the lack of food. Around 90 children have died from hunger in Gaza during this conflict, many in the past 2 weeks. The most vulnerable, those suffering from other medical conditions. But doctors say Watine was born healthy.
There's a total loss of muscle. It's only skin on top of bones, which is an indication that the child has entered severe acute malnutrition.
Aid is being airdropped into Gaza now.
Yeah, there are Egyptians that are holding police precincts hostage right now, or were doing so, because they're pissed off about the Egyptian government's collaboration with the Israeli government. Things are reaching a boiling point. Yeah. Things are reaching a boiling point in the region as well. How much? This has been the #1 point of contention within the State Department from day one. There were plenty of people who have worked their whole lives within the American State Department that knew exactly what Israel was doing, Israel was going to do after October 7th. And they recognized that this was actually harmful for America's strategic interests in the region, that Israel was going to overstep and basically destroy the grand design. Okay, that's why they quit. They quit ahead of time, and they warned people. They were like, we're headed down a very dark path here. I say this as someone who cares about America. I say this as someone who cares about America's foreign policy, and no one is listening to us. Those guys weren't doing it because they were like, you know, upset about the human toll. I mean, maybe some of them were, but they're working for the State Department. Their job is to literally overlook human casualties, okay? Their job relies on them. That relies on their capacity to refused to recognize human casualties in these endeavors, okay? They were just upset about what Israel was going to do, that would harm America's strategic interests in the region. They were right.
And Israel is allowing more trucks in too. But the chaos on the ground means most are immediately looted by desperate people and criminals. The amount of food entering the territory is nowhere near enough to feed a desperate population that many allege Israel has deliberately chosen to starve.
Nothing reaches us from the aid that comes through land, air and sea. Gangs and thieves take all of it and sell it at high prices. So what benefit do we get from this? Nothing at all. We used to have money, but now it's all gone.
At a UN conference in New York, more than a dozen countries launched a statement calling for an end to Israel's war and the disarming of Hamas.
The only realistic, just and sustainable solution is two states.
Outrage at the bloodshed in Gaza is leading to a revival of the long-discussed two-state solution.
Mr. President,
God, I hate these monsters. For the record, when Palestinians are talking about people stealing the aid, this is something that I have heard from Palestinians on the ground. They're not talking about Hamas. There is one militant group that Israel has funded and armed. They are of Palestinian descent. They are ISIS affiliates. They're now known as the Popular Forces, not the Popular Front, the Popular Forces. This is Abu Shabab's brigade of militants that get their money from Israel, they get their weapons from Israel, get their arms and gear from Israel. They get to operate in the Rafah red zone, okay? I'm sure some of them are Syrian, certainly. I mean, they're drug smugglers. They've used the Rafah tunnel system to smuggle drugs into the Gaza Strip. And Abu Shabab was in prison before October 7. Israel bombed the prison. Abu Shabab escaped. Yasser Abu Shabab. And he became the leader of the Israeli-backed collaborative forces. Israel gave them the arms and offered them protective cover with drones, okay, specifically so they can literally steal aid. In Hebrew, Israeli media admits Netanyahu's lying about the UN being to blame for the famine in Gaza. IDF has been forcing aid trucks to take an unsafe route known as the Looting Valley, where Israel's proxy gangs would loot the overwhelming majority of aid under IDF protection. Yeah, I'm talking about the famous Wall Street Journal columnist Yasser Abu Shabab, who has famously, his family actually disowned him, famously, said he's not one of us, this guy, who famously works by Israel's own admission with the Israeli government. Their headquarters are in the red zone in Rafah, where no Palestinian is allowed to exist. Constant surveillance, drone strikes, they get to operate out of it. He is also illiterate. He is famously illiterate. He dropped out of, I think, like second grade or something. He literally cannot read nor write in Arabic, let alone English. Yet he wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal, an opinion editorial. How did that happen? His family has called on his associates to kill him. Yeah. So when Israel says Hamas is ISIS, they actually are trying to get you to believe that Hamas is ISIS. They are literally working with ISIS right now. Okay? Why so obsessed with Israel? Is it really that bad? And Hamas is kind of like Germany in the 40s. You actually read about what's going on. They do the same stuff. No, my friend, Hamas is actually similar to Germany in the 40s. You're right. Just not in the way that you think. Hamas is similar to the Jewish partisans. Hamas is similar to the resistance front inside of Germany against Nazi Germany. Israel, on the other hand, is closely resembling Nazi Germany in the 40s. So yeah, you're technically not wrong. I just don't think that that's what you were trying to say. But yes, October 7 could be compared to the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, and Hamas's activities could be compared to the militancy that the partisans engaged in against Nazi Germany. I'm not rage baiting. I want an honest conversation. I don't understand why everyone is so obsessed with this. We have bigger problems in America. We can't fix their problems. We have to fix ours. Yeah, that's a really funny way to approach the subject matter, especially considering that Israel is American politics. There's not really much we can do. It's my money, it's my tax dollars and yours going there instead of fixing your potholes. So I think we should actually talk about it. That's mean. Okay. Well, you should be more predisposed with what's going on, the violence that is unfolding with your tax dollars, you know? I do care. Okay. Oh, well, I'm glad you do. I hope you understand my position, though. This is why I'm, quote unquote, so obsessed with Israel. Because what Israel is doing is allowing Israel to do this. We are giving Israel the weapons to do this. We're giving Israel the protective cover to do this. And also, simultaneously, this current administration, I don't know if you've been asleep or not, is literally prosecuting American citizens and non-citizens alike that are supposed to be protected by the Constitution under the First Amendment for the crime of speaking out against Israel. So it is certainly an American problem. Israel has made it an American problem. Israel could not exist without the United States of America funding it every step of the way. So yeah, it's literally the most uniquely American issue. Like more so than even the Rapid Support Forces also doing a genocide in Sudan. The Rapid Support Forces are backed by the UAE. UAE gets almost all of its weapons from the United States of America. So the Rapid Support Forces that are conducting a genocide in Sudan are technically doing so with American arms that are being trafficked to the RSF by way of the UAE. So we are responsible for that to a certain degree as well. Not to the same degree as how much responsibility we have over Israel's genocidal conduct in the Gaza Strip. Since October 7, the United States is single-handedly responsible for all of Israel's defensive and offensive munitions. 70%. 70% of all weapons that Israel has used, both defensively and offensively, since October 7 has come from the United States of America. Okay? 70%. Without us, there is no genocide. Feel me? Do you understand why this is a uniquely American problem? Perhaps you should care a little bit more. All right. Netanyahu claims there are secured roads. They have always been. On the ground, they were only open now due to international pressure. Prime Minister Netanyahu said during a visit to Ramon base that there are secured routes. They have always been there, but today it is official in response to UN claims that Israel is preventing the transfer of aid to Gaza. In reality, so far, only one route has been marked, which did not allow for safe transfer of aid and was looted immediately after the trucks passed through. Now, following pressure from the UN, Israel has opened several additional routes as requested for weeks. This is Barak Ravid writing at N12. What Israel says in Hebrew to the Israeli audience is very different than what Israeli officials say to the Western world. If an Israeli official is speaking in English, know that that is intended for you to hear. When an Israeli official is speaking in Hebrew, well, they're being honest. They're speaking to the Israeli population, which is precisely the reason why when they speak in Hebrew, they say much more truthful things, much more violent things, as a matter of fact. Breaking. Senior Hamas official says no negotiations under starvation and genocide. Senior Hamas figure Mahmoud Mardawi declared today that the group will not enter new negotiations while Israel continues to impose famine and mass killing in Gaza. There is no point in any negotiations as long as the policies of starvation and extermination against our people continue. The continuation of these humanitarian crimes destroy any logical basis for talks and shows contempt for the efforts made during the previous 18 days of negotiations. His remarks came after Israel reportedly sent a counterproposal rejecting key Hamas demands, including dismantling the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and withdrawing from the Philadelphia corridor. Mardawi made clear Hamas will not accept piecemeal implementation of a ceasefire. Opening one part of the agreement automatically opens all other provisions. He stressed that the agreement must be treated as a single, indivisible package, not something Israel can manage according to the calculations of just one side. His statement appeared to reject Israel's new reported ultimatum to the resistance group, accept a partial deal on Israel's terms or face annexation of Gaza's perimeter. What? Oh, so people speaking Hebrew are violent? Got it? No, I said people speaking in Hebrew when the same person speaking English says one thing, but when they're speaking in Hebrew, they are facing the Israeli audience, they say something different. And that something different is significantly more violent and significantly more honest, considering that what Israel is doing is incredibly brutal, violent. It's a genocide. That's what I mean. I didn't say people speaking about it. But that's what you wanted to understand. And the reason I think you wanted to hold on to that is specifically because after fucking spending 11 months in here, okay, after spending 11 months in here, noticeably absent from the conversation are you post-October 7. The reason why you have been noticeably absent from the conversation post-October 7, okay, only to come in here and say, oh, dude, you suck. I watch you out of morbid curiosity and it sucks. Dumbass defense, why would you even try? Is because you recognize that you are a pariah. People like you who defend Israel are a global pariah. It's hella easy to bait you, no effort, one man. Okay, well, you can bait no longer. There you go. People in your immediate surroundings are they consider this kind of attitude to be despicable. Okay? You should try and bait those people around you in normal conversation. You probably can't any longer because they've literally stopped frequenting. They've literally stopped talking to you. They've stopped being around you for this reason. Yeah, I mean, look at this. Translate post from Hebrew. UK, we will recognize a Palestinian state in September. That's fine. By September, God willing, there will be nothing left to recognize. There it is. That's why it's basically a rule at this point. Whenever you translate tweet from Hebrew, you see an unearthed new version of Hitlerian policy in broad daylight. Also, it's so funny that this has been in here since 2023 trying to bait me, and I finally responded to him after months. You're making some wild justifications lately, unable to be wrong. You just did the same thing. Okay, sure, buddy. Damn, those pants are stupid. Let's vandalize your portion, laugh about it. Dumbass defense, why would you even try? You did such a great job in helping. Thanks. Pretty gross. Straight out of the RU playbook. Both sides be saying crazy shit. I was saying both sides in 2024. Seemingly he has aligned himself with one side of those both sides. It's just the wrong side. It's just so, I mean, dude, I'm going to be honest. The RSF doesn't get their weapons only from the U.S. That's wrong. Every UAE weapons manufacturer is some deal with Israeli company. That's important to note. Oh, yeah. Who could forget? The UAE's greatest allies, of course, is Israel. And Israel is, and the UAE also participates in Israel's genocide as well. I'm not much of a Twitch guy outside of watching you. Is it normal for someone to spend this much time watching someone they dislike? Why? Yes. There are a lot of people that unfortunately have very sad lives. And the only thing that offers them like the recognition of their humanity sometimes is someone negatively reacting to their position overall. Some people are so touch-starved, so desperate for some kind of recognition that they will consistently behave like a petulant child, okay, shitting in their own diapers and making it everyone else's problem. It's unfortunately a sad state of affairs, but this is how it is. There are plenty of people who do this. I don't know why. I've never participated in this, and I don't understand why people participate in this. I think it's truly unhealthy, and I still have hope that a lot of these weirdos will eventually one day see the right path. Okay, but for the time being, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, any attention is good attention when you're neglected.
Think about a future in a different place.
Okay, well, why don't Israelis move out of Israel then and let the...
Think about a future in a different...
Terrorist, you are terrorist, Piers Morgan. You are saying the words of terror.
Diplomatic push, Israel and its most important ally dismiss.
The animal, yeah. Danny Danon.
You could make the case that you're rewarding people, that, you know, you're rewarding Hamas if you do that. And I don't think they should be rewarded.
The very fact that we had this conference that was led by the French and the Saudis is an indication of a vacuum left by American leadership, or the lack of American leadership. Without the U.S.
Of course, the Washington Institute is like, no, this is good. It's literally a non-starter. I don't give a fuck what the dogs over the Arab League have to say about this, okay? Bro, why ban someone for saying their opinion, just asking? What's wrong with banning a Republican? Okay, you're just begging. Here, I'll give you the attention that you wanted.
Being involved, it's very hard to see how the participants in that conference can move Israel, or frankly can coordinate some of the regional...
Why stop the video as soon as you disagree? It's called reacting. Take a second off.
Diplomacy that in itself is quite complicated.
In Gaza, every new day brings fresh pain. Here, a distraught son cries out for his father. So many of those killed by Israel shot while seeking aid. President Trump's special envoy is traveling to the Middle East to discuss the humanitarian crisis, how many more bodies to bury before it's brought to an end.
Well, joining me now is Dr. Nada Al-Hadithi, a consultant plastic surgeon who's just returned from NASA Hospital in Gaza. I suppose when you're there, you are just surviving and dealing with what you've got to deal with.
Yes.
Now you come back, how do you reflect on what you've been witnessing?
I knew before I went that the situation was absolutely desperate, but nothing could have prepared me for the extent of the starvation that I witnessed firsthand in the patients I was treating. The other thing that really struck me was how relentless the injuries and the casualties coming in were. I was down in ED one day and the cleaners were working at their absolute maximum trying to mop up the blood off the floor, and they couldn't keep up. And that was one of the days that the Israeli and American food distribution centers.
I'm so sick of explaining people how evil Israel is. I'm not. I will do it every day. I mean, they do officially say what they want to do. They control all the money and power in this world? They don't. But once again, I'm not. Yeah. I will continue explaining to every single person. They control all the money and power. That's so funny.
Had fired on the people at 3 a.m, where they were asked to be in the middle of the night, having crossed evacuation zones to get food and to get aid. So now that I'm back, I'm thinking, what else can we do to help stop this humanitarian crisis?
I mean, we are reliant on people like you to get facts out, because we're not there ourselves, and there are local journalists as well that we rely on. But obviously the GHF are sort of every day denying these, allegations of people being killed near them, and saying it's all sort of propaganda and made up. I mean, from what you've seen from the injuries, what do you make of these constant denials?
I think these denials are not accurate. What I have seen from my first-hand experience is a 10-year-old girl who was shot through the leg at one of the GHF sites and subsequently had an amputation. This girl, Jana, loved dancing before she had an amputation, and this is a life-changing injury. I saw a student nurse shot through his back and out through the front, which led to an aneurysm compressing all of the nerves to his dominant arm, which means that he can no longer use that arm. It's completely useless. I saw another man shot in the testicles, and speaking to other colleagues working in the hospital, and let's just be clear, plastic surgery.
This is so crazy. Doctors have, so doctors obviously don't, but every now and then the media will come and ask them about what the common injuries are. And when they do that, they realize that Israel sometimes will use the civilian children that are going to the aid distribution sites as target practice. One day it's head injuries. That's what's so common. And then the next day, what's common is testicle injuries. Like, they were shooting children in the balls deliberately. They sometimes go for specific limbs one day.
Weren't seeing these injuries immediately. I was part of the team that was helping provide the reconstruction after the immediate salvages. But other colleagues that were there with me were saying that they saw a pattern where multiple times they saw many people coming in on the same day, all shot in the testicles or all shot in the upper quadrant of their stomach. And it looked like there was very specific targeting happening.
And what about the targeting in medical staff itself?
So we now know from the UN that over 1,500 medical healthcare workers have been killed. And while I was there, my scrub nurse that I was working with every single day was followed home by a quadcopter drone, and it didn't kill him on the way home from eyewitness. It waited until he was in his tent and greeted his 3 children and killed them all. I had another patient that was the wife of a doctor. She was completely emaciated. She'd lost her arm, she'd lost her leg, and she was in a great deal of pain and distress. We didn't have enough pain relief for her. We didn't have enough drugs, and she had a really significant infection that her body couldn't fight. She found out that one of my burns patients, who was 6 years old and had devastating 40% TBSA burns, total body surface area burns, needed vinegar to treat his Pseudomonas infection, and the hospital had run out, and she gave it to us for him. The people of Gaza have so much decency and so much dignity, and they keep on supporting each other and their communities no matter what happens. One of my nurses, I was asking him, he was an incredible nurse, he was so hardworking, so committed. I said, tell me about your life, Hasan. He said, I used to have 3 children. My youngest was killed 6 months ago. My eldest was killed just under 2 years ago. I've got 1 son left. I couldn't imagine a world where my colleagues are losing their children in this capacity and losing their lives in this way and still coming to work to do the best for their communities. They are the heroes of this conflict and war.
Will you be able to go back?
I'm hoping to go back. There's a lot of issues. 50% of EMT applicants get rejected by Israeli government. And it's obviously a real problem, especially for plastic surgery, because during the siege for the last 17 years, there hasn't been the ability of people to move and to get trained. So there are very, very few plastic surgeons left in Gaza. I went before, in March 23, with the Royal College of Surgeons to train 18 delegates as part of an online longitudinal program. And 4 of those 18 delegates are now dead. One of them is Ahmed Al-Makada, who was found outside Al-Shifa Hospital with his hands tied behind his back, with his mother, who is a GP, and a bullet to his head. And he was someone that was continuously sending me images of patients that he was doing his absolute best for. And he'd won a fellowship from our Royal College of Surgeons. And yet, we don't do enough. It's desperate.
This is a new and unprecedented reality for Israelis. A sense they're losing support from traditional allies, while still living in fear after October the 7th.
Whoa, oh, what? They're living in fear after October 7? Like, oh man. Oh man, dude, what will we do? What will we do about Israeli fears, dude? Well, I guess they should do a little bit more genocide, you know, just to appease the interests of the masses. I mean, what? I mean, Israeli fears, obviously. That means, like, Israel can continue doing its death and destruction campaign. Yeah. I don't know, man. I see videos from Israel. They don't look to be in fear. As a matter of fact, they are very, very excited at the death and destruction campaign. They keep demanding more of it. Perhaps it's out of the fear that they have.
Criticism over the war in Gaza is growing inside Israel, but here in Jerusalem, it's a very different picture. And Keir Starmer's involvement is deeply unwelcome.
I think that the British have interfered in the Middle East for far too much. And
bitch, you... Dude. Same. I agree. Like the creation of Israel. Are you kidding me? First of all, you're American. Secondly, you're right. It's just we got to roll the clock way the back here, okay? What do you mean? Oh, the British have interfered too much in Middle Eastern affairs? Yeah, I agree, bitch. What are you talking about? Strike back the time all the way before Lord Balfour declared his intentions of sending everyone, every Jewish person to Israel. What do you mean?
Far too long.
It's not
This is always like, this is the same whenever they say like, oh, dude, UN is Hamas. UN is Hamas. It's like, okay, well, if you think the UN is irrelevant, then we might as well just completely abolish the Israeli state, you know? No more Israeli state.
What you see on the informations.
So the images we're seeing on television coming out of Gaza aren't real, is that what you're saying?
Well, yes.
We give him a food, clothes, everything they need. And they're still killing us, and we give him things.
Hell no! We give them everything, and they still kill. They are killing. They are killing. Why? Why they are killing? Enough champagne to fill the Nile. Dude, look at how fearful these guys are, man. I'm so glad that Sky News is finally covering. Israel blames everyone except itself for its own shame. Israeli journalist Gideon Levy. Sad to see such a level of denial. It's never Israel's fault. It's always someone else's. How do people reach their level of delusion and denial? Quite astounding, really. Did anyone bother to ask Jeffrey Dahmer whether his behavior was problematic? Deluded in sick society. That sure doesn't look like living in fear. Gazans look like they live in fear. IDF soldiers are admitting it. Blaming everything in the world without taking a look at yourself. British Empire brought Eastern White European Jews to Palestine in boat 1945. It's far before that, chatter or commentator. You're wrong. It started far before that. Without the British, Israel will not be established. It's over, man. Some of the dumbest in society are those who write comments on YouTube. The dumbest in society recognize what's going on. It's done. It's over. You can just keep chirping and be like, oh, well, Israel is bad. Yesterday, they said Israel is good. okay, but Hamas. Today they say Israel is bad, but Hamas. Tomorrow they will say Israel is bad, period. It's that simple. Those who still try to actively defend Israel's genocide, its bloodshed, they will have no quarters, okay? It's done. It's over.
They need.
But Israel is also killing a lot of Palestinians as well.
It's not true.
While much of the Israeli media doesn't show the harrowing images from Gaza, they're being streamed around the world. Palestinians starved and stripped of their humanity. So appalled by the situation.
Like, look at this, bro. Look at this. Oh, we are living in fear. We are living in fear. But also, then you look at Palestinians, and they're like, no, that's real fear. That's real madness.
It's prompted key allies like the UK to announce recognition of Palestinian statehood if it doesn't stop. Former Prime Minister Ehud Olmert understands this decision by the British, but says it's complex and stopping the war is the more urgent issue.
Israel is in complete control of Gaza. No one will tell me that we can...
Wait, what? Since 10/7? I don't think Hamas has killed anyone in Israel since 10/7. Have they even killed a single person outside of Gaza since then? No. I don't think so. I mean, they were like lobbing missiles every now and then, but in the beginning, but that's also stopped as well.
Devastate Iran, 1,200 miles from the shores of Israel, and we can't make all the technical logistical arrangements to provide food in the 20 kilometers from Israel. There is one person in the entire world which has the power to force it on Netanyahu, and this is Donald J. Trump. What he needs to do is to summon Bibi to the Oval Office and to say to him, Netanyahu, game is over. Enough is enough.
Just a short drive from Jerusalem, the occupied West Bank is physically divided by this wall. That, along with Gaza and East Jerusalem, has long been envisioned as part of a future Palestinian state. But the current Israeli government outright rejects the idea of a two-state solution and has said Keir Starmer's announcement rewards terrorism. The reality is this move by the UK government doesn't change anything in the West Bank, it doesn't change anything in Gaza, and it doesn't stop the war. Some say strategically this has been really badly handled by the UK, that this was the wrong timing and they should have pushed for a ceasefire first. Hostage families are furious, saying the UK's conditions disincentivise Hamas from ending the war.
If there is no ceasefire, there will be a state of Palestine, and the state of Palestine will continue to be at war with the state of Israel. The logic in this document is entirely faulty, and it's got all the feel of something being rushed out to placate whoever has been shouting loudest.
Donald Trump's envoy is returning to Israel for the first time in 3 months. Steve Witkoff is due to visit aid centres in Gaza. This comes as we received reports of hospitals overrun with casualties from aid sites. The question is what Trump's envoy will report back to Washington after seeing Gaza firsthand. Sally Lockwood, Sky News, Jerusalem.
Now the most mobilized.
It's like every here's a news report from inside of Israel. Here's the most evil woman you have ever seen in your whole life. Okay? Hello. Welcome to, I don't know, insert whatever broadcast. Today, we're talking to Adolf Hitler, but a woman. Okay? Adolf Hitler reincarnated as a Jewish woman. This Israeli mother has made it her mission to block aid to starving babies in Gaza. It's so nutty, dude. Like, how do you look at a society that doesn't immediately look like I'm serious, dude. Listen, America is a very racist country. This is true. But there is a level of racism that the average American racist considers to be a bridge too far. Okay? Like if someone is a Klan's robe wearing, okay, and in broad daylight is just like doing shit like this, is going around being like, let's go lynch black people, and they refer to black people as like the N-word with a hard R. Even most American racists will look at that and be like, that's a little bit up, I think. Okay? In Israel, No such social stigma exists. No, I've talked about permissible racism a lot. Remember the story of that one Valentina Gomez, right? Who will say horribly racist shit in an effort to rage bait. Like, people on Twitter get away with a lot more openly evil, openly pro-Nazi shit. But even the biggest American racist still doesn't like a Nazi, okay? They're conditioned to not like the overt racism. They understand it as like wrong. They don't see themselves as that. In Israel, it feels like these guys are like, no, we're evil and we love doing the evil. It's like my favorite thing is to be evil.
Activists in Israel are radical groups like Savtesh Reut Benheim.
God forbid a girl have a hobby. Yeah.
Today, they're trying to block vital food aid getting to Gaza. She's sharing her message to her online followers.
עוד כמה שעות מחבלים חמושים הולכים לטפס על המשאיות האלה ולחגוג. הם לא דורכים על המשאיות, הם דורכים על הכבוד של עם ישראל, הם דורכים עלינו.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying nothing. Okay? I'm not. Because God forbid Ethan Klein or any number of different like Israel defenders turn around and clip me being like, these guys are horrible. Okay? I can laugh though. Am I allowed to laugh? I think I'm allowed to laugh.
מאיפה לארגון הטרור הקטן והקיקיוני הזה יש יכולת להמשיך לפגוע בנו? מאיפה? כי אנחנו מזינים אותם.
They're on their way to Nitzana, one of 3 aid entry points into Gaza that remain open. According to one Israeli think tank, 2/3 of Jewish Israelis oppose the transfer of humanitarian aid to Gaza residents. What I can't understand is how a mother of 8 is trying to block food to starving children in Gaza.
Okay.
How's your baby doing?
It's hard, but I can...
Oh, you poor lady, poor woman. It's hard. Okay, don't make your baby participate in war crimes, dude. You freak. You absolute monstrous freak piece of shit. I can't wait for someone to clip this and be like, Hasan is being quite anti-Semitic to Adolfine Hitler, okay? Like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, God forbid that woman have hobbies, huh? Why are you saying this? My hobbies are Hamas. My hobbies are killing children and denying aid to the Palestinians, which are not real. Okay, you look racist now. It's okay. Suck my dick. She from New Jersey, bro. Lol. Oh, God. Oh, brother. No politique here. No politique. We are denying the aid from going into Hamas terror children. Khalel, no. No.
Stay at home.
Are you not concerned that by blocking the aid going to Gaza, a lot of Palestinians...
Yeah, never forget when I said the rabid Jewish KKK settlers that were literally destroying aid. I called them inbred supremacist psychopaths, okay? And Ethan Klein turned around and said, they could be doing anything. They look like pleasant young gentlemen that are actually carrying aid into the Gaza Strip, as a matter of fact. Remember that shit? Clown.
So we're already suffering and starving.
It's a wrong question, okay? Because the aid gets to Hamas. The aid go to Hamas.
Someone's got to have that clip. Come on. Someone give me that clip of neo-Nazi Ethan Klein being like, they could just be doing aid. Like, what? You don't know that. It's like, I do know that. You're the one who doesn't seemingly know that.
We hit a roadblock with the border police. There's blurred lines between Reut and those there to enforce the law. But Mum is still on her mission to get to the border. Since the beginning of the onslaught in Gaza, the delivery of food has. In March of this year, UN experts called out Israel's imposed starvation, the first item of the ICC arrest warrant.
Inbred, douchebags in the background.
Like these are just dudes standing back there.
Just dudes standing in the back right there. Yeah. If only there was some additional context to what those just benign dudes were doing back there. Notice how I'm not calling the Israeli citizens who were filming those benign dudes inbred, even though they are also Jewish and Israeli. It's because those are the activists who were trying to stop the freaks from destroying the aid.
Just dudes standing back there.
Entirely comprised of messy.
And this is an ongoing like joke with this community. These are just benign dudes. Just I don't know what they're doing. It looks like they're doing charity or something. It looks like they've got water.
Looks like they're doing charity. It looks like they're doing charity or something. Oh, is that what it looks like? If only there was something like, how do you get duped by your own clip chimp, dude? He's so stupid. Like he got this clip chimp from someone else and then got duped a second time when going over it.
Or a box or something, like they're helping. And he's going, oh, look at these inbreds. It's like, bro, who are you? What are you? Who are you? Like, how dare you?
Guys, the Israeli police is investigating the attack on the Gaza aid convoy.
Israeli security forces are paid to stop this happening. They either could not or would not.
This has to be intentional, right? No way he's that dumb. No, he's that dumb. He literally is that stupid. I mean, yeah, he's pro-Israel too, but he's also that stupid.
But clearly did not prevent Israeli settlers attacking an aid convoy yesterday from the West Bank bound for Gaza, where, say aid agencies, hundreds of thousands of civilians face famine.
But during the unloading and loading, settlers attacked these trucks, destroying the products and burning them in a systematic act of sabotage.
A continuation of images seen yesterday as settlers destroyed food at the same crossing point.
No, he's not. He's constantly lying purposely. No, he's also a moron. I promise you. Yeah, look at these benign dudes doing charity. Idiot. Yeah, this is what is charity in Israel. I lost all faith in him when he refused to finish playing the clip in your debate in air quotes where you plead with your community to not attack him up until the content puke came out. Yeah. I'd pay good money to see you dress that short clown down again. That guy? No, because his views are dwindling and he's losing relevance as he continuously does the same old bullshit over and over again. And while it's incredibly satisfying to rip him a new asshole, the irony is when Sam Cedar and I did that, that was his best month. Reason to do that because that's what he wants. That's what he wants desperately. And basically what ended up happening was when he like launched this last Hail Mary lawsuit, he thought everyone was going to weirdly come to his defense. And then basically nobody did. So now he's just like, now he is moving in the direction of irrelevance, which is exactly what he fears. He will continuously yell into an increasingly smaller hug box of people. And that's it. That's the best possible thing you can do. Also, he already admitted that his wife was a terrorist. What more can I get out of that conversation? Trying to bait Sam hard, called him a capo today. Yeah, he just let him fade into irrelevance. I told this to Sam as well. Sam could not comprehend how incredibly defamatory Ethan has been, and I was like, he wants us to sue him for defamation so he can make content out of it. Even if he loses a long drawn out legal battle for like a year, which will give him content. So the best possible thing you can do is just like deny him that recognition.
Request says Prime Minister Netanyahu and his defense minister bear criminal responsibility for the starvation of civilians in Gaza. Hunger, terror, death. There's no respite for the Palestinians. I return to the activists blocking the aid. It seems the echo chamber between the Israeli mainstream media and social media is encouraging this kind of direct action. Rayot and her team have reached the crossing point into Gaza.
Israeli police is Hamas. They are not letting our babies of terror do the just thing and deny humanitarian aid to Hamas.
Riyadh's live stream continues at the border fence. As she tends to her baby, I meet another activist from the group.
So have you managed to block the gate now?
Yeah, the gate is closed, as you can see here. We closed it, and the gate will remain closed until they evacuate us if they manage to.
The aid is being blocked. People are...
Like, if they were real ones, they beat the out of these people, okay? I've seen Israeli police and the Israeli military beat the out of protesters. It's just protesters that were protesting against the administration's actions. So why don't they do that to these? Oh, our hands are tied. To be fair, I kind of get why Israelis always act so offended when the police IDF arrest them for what they view as relatively acceptable thing. All other signs indicate the police and IDF should be on their side. No, it's like January 6th when all of the people were like, why are you not letting us take a shit in Nancy Pelosi's office? It's the same shit. It's literally the same principle behind the hog rebellion on January 6th. They were like shocked that cops would even, the limited amount of police presence on that day was like a force that would prevent them from entering the Capitol. But ultimately, this is performative.
Starving, and Israel's...
Like, if you want to see how the Israeli police force actually works, watch them and how they treat Jews, okay? Watch them in Jerusalem against the tiny margin of anti-Zionist Orthodox Jews that live there, okay? They do not hold back when they are dealing with the anti-Zionist Orthodox Jewish community in Jerusalem. They beat the living doors off of those dudes, okay? Straight up. Straight the up. There are obviously a lot of Orthodox Jews that are super pro-occupation, but there are still a tiny sliver of Orthodox Jews that are anti, and they do not hold back on those. Let me tell you, okay? Definitely different than these people here.
Responsible for that.
The ones who are responsible is Hamas. They are the legitimate government of Gaza.
Bitch, you're literally denying aid right now. What do you mean? The ones who are responsible is Hamas. It's like, okay, well, you're the one. What do you mean? You're the one who's literally denying aid into the Strip. You are denying, currently, you are in the process of denying aid to stop starving children from getting aid, okay? You are stopping children from getting food. They are starving. It is not Hamas. You are so much worse than Hamas ever could be, okay? Hamas is literally the most moral force in comparison to you.
They need to take responsibility. We are at war. It is a war. And I want Israel to win that war, and we need to put pressure on Hamas. And this is the right and the most efficient way to do so.
For the South.
That's how you know this is a fascist society, by the way. When you got a marketing manager looking ass person like this saying these kinds of like Hitlerian things, that's how you know it's like it's over. Like the wonderful grandmas that you hear on like man on the street interviews in Israeli streets, and they're like, oh, I would never let children die except for Hamas, you know? And you're like, oh, okay, you're a freak. It's over. Yeah, the Swifty hat. Exactly. This is what I'm saying. It's like, this is how fascism takes root. When you got otherwise like normal looking white ladies literally going to the middle of the desert to do a war crime. Okay? That's crazy. It's over.
And this is the right and the most efficient way to do so.
For the Savtasha group, their blocking is a success. No aid trucks got through that day. In the ensuing weeks, local media identifies some activists from the group ransacking aid trucks. Individuals within the Israeli forces reportedly tipped them off about where to target.
Wow. Wow. What? You mean to tell me there's direct collaboration between the Israeli security forces and the rabid settler terrorists? I'm so shocked. What? 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 No. No. Khalil, no. fork found in the kitchen? Stop. Tell me it's not like that. What? What?
Young settlers also stepped in, beating up drivers, looting aid, and even torching trucks heading to Gaza. The extremism reflected in these activists, both online and in the mainstream media, is coming from the top, from the Prime Minister himself, calling up biblical references of brutal retaliation. To his defense minister.
אנחנו מטילים מצור מוחלט על העיר עזה. אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק. הכל סגור. אנחנו נלחמים בחיות אדם ואנחנו נוהגים בהתאם.
And his far-right coalition partner, Itamar Ben-Gvir, seen here at a rally in this clip shared online.
Did you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on notifications. For exclusive content and to support our independent, unfiltered journalism, head over to zeteo.com. Your support matters.
Or the New York Times issuing a correction over an article on famine in Gaza, which featured this viral image of a young boy.
So they originally wrote that he was starving, malnutrition. But they recently issued an editor's note saying the child also has a pre-existing muscle condition.
Lucas Thomason is live in Washington with the latest details on this story. Good morning, Lucas.
Good morning, Lawrence. Images of civilians in Gaza drawing increased attention from around the world following the October 7th massacre, which killed 1,200 Israelis, where 20 hostages.
Dude, October 7. October 7. Hey, guys, remember October 7? It's crazy. October 7, remember? Look, when you go, this is a depraved sick society, okay, which is understandable. Everybody with a conscience says that, right? Recognizes it as such. But when you see stuff like this, and you go, whoa, 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 dude, chill. You're being anti-Semitic. This is about Jews. This is like about Judaism. You're criticizing Jews and Judaism. It's like, no, you're making that connection, okay? You are. I'm not making that connection. You're making that connection. It's a false connection that you yourself are jumping on. I think that is unimaginably anti-Semitic to look at these sociopaths and these actions, these horrible actions, a stain on mankind, a stain on humanity. And you go, nope, that's Jews, man. That's all Jews. Like, what are you, Nick Fuentes? What do you mean? What do you mean you have to defend this because Jews want this? You're a psycho. You're wrong. Not only are you wrong, but you are also deeply anti-Semitic, and it doesn't fucking matter. It does not matter whether or not the person saying that is of Jewish descent themselves or Christian. It is undeniably anti-Semitic. And the tide shift has, I think, created this recognition.
Remain alive today. The New York Times reports Gazans are dying of starvation. And, quote, here is the headline, guys. After 21 months of devastating conflict with Israel, Gaza's most vulnerable civilians, the young, the old, and the sick, are facing what aid groups say is impending famine. As you mentioned off the top, this photo of an 18-month-old.
Like, this is the worst. This is the worst counter I have ever seen, brother. I'm sorry. This is straightforward Nazi Holocaust denial while the Holocaust is happening, to just be like, hey, by the way, just so you know, this starving child also has a genetic condition. Like, that's not the defense you think it is, man. Like, why is the kid starving but the adults look healthy and well-fed? What a disgrace, New York Times. We need to talk about how Hamas is stealing aid from Palestinians. If Chamas can afford missiles and Gaza can afford food, okay, well, you know, their audience has gotten the talking points, I guess. Finally, we encountered a group of stupids that are on board with this propaganda, it seems.
Drawn attention. Now the New York Times updating its piece with an editor's note saying the child, while suffering from severe malnutrition, also had, quote, a pre-existing health.
Like, I don't even care if the malnutrition, which according to the mother, the malnutrition is what caused the condition, right? But even if that wasn't the case, like this is not an appropriate counter narrative. When you say Pallywood, which is depraved, is the Israel version of saying like all of this stuff is, all of the violence that is unfolded, that Israel is committing, is actually fake and Palestinians are staging it or whatever. You're supposed to deny that there is starvation taking place. You can't just be like, oh yeah, no, starvation is happening, but also we are starving not just healthy children, we're starving children with like genetic disabilities. Okay? It's insane. Who is this for?
Health problems. A statement on the Times PR handle on X says, quote, "We recently ran a story about Gaza's most vulnerable civilians, including Mohammed Zakaria al-Muktawak, who is about 18 months old and suffers from severe malnutrition. We have since learned new information, including from the hospital that treated him and his medical..."
Like, this is a don't believe your lying eyes moment, but also at the same time, I don't think it's going to work. You know what I mean? They're trying, but it's not working. Because who the would look at this and go, yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, I think that child is starving, but also had a genetic condition, so I guess it's appropriate for that child to die. It's not working. It's not working. It's
records
fucking
and have
insane.
updated our story to add context about his pre-existing health problems. This additional detail gives readers a greater understanding of his situation. Our reporters...
My mom and dad believe this shit. I'm sorry to report this, but if your mom and dad, quote unquote, believe this shit, they already were looking for anything to point to. It's up to you to be like, dude, people have come to me with this as a defense as well. Okay? New York Times, we didn't disclose that the starving child we depicted who was born in a besieged concentration camp had health complications. To atone for this act of anti-Semitism, we've been donating $500 billion to the ADL and putting every Israeli flag in our office at half-mast. Like, just ask your parents to be like, okay, the kid's still starving. Let's say also had a precondition. He's still starving. Don't you think it's up that Israel is starving this child? Yeah, it's like cops shot a 5-year-old, but the kid was autistic, and we didn't actually reveal that the child was autistic beforehand. Okay, that didn't make it better. It made it worse. Usually, when you do a counter-narrative campaign, it's supposed to kind of like make the situation look better for you, not worse. Oh, you people will feel real stupid when you find out that the kid also had cancer. The kid that we were starving also had cancer. Ha! It's like, okay, so you're literally starving a cancer child. How is that in any way, shape, or form supposed to defend your position? It didn't make the position better. It made it worse. What do you mean? This correction has only made you more evil in my eyes. What? It's not like food is the only thing that Israel's denying. Israel's denying medicine too. Every hospital. What are we talking about? I don't get it. Hey, I'm going to skip this. I can't even talk about this any longer. It's just so stupid.
We're following an issue that is being closely tracked here in Washington. What is being labeled the worst case scenario of famine unfolding in Gaza. That's a dire warning that we are getting from a food security agency that is backed by the United Nations. And that group says that more than 20,000 kids were admitted for treatment for acute malnutrition between April and mid-July. More than 3,000 of them were severely malnourished, and images like these show the staggering human toll that we are watching play out. One child seen shoveling as much flour as he could off of an aid truck into his own T-shirt as he turned into a makeshift bowl to carry that flour. The president today acknowledged what he and the world have been watching.
I think everybody, unless they're pretty cold-hearted or worse than that, nuts. There's nothing you can say other than it's terrible when you see the kids. And those are kids, you know, whether they talk starvation or not, those are kids that are starving. I mean, they are starving. And you see the mothers, they love them so much, and there's just nothing they seem to be able to do. They got to get them food, and we're going to get them food.
Yeah, if only we could find out who's doing this, who's allowing this. I don't know, man. Am I the... What? You mean to tell me I'm the president of the United States of America that is single-handedly responsible for Israel's genocide? The only country more responsible, or if not just as responsible for Israel's genocide? Fuck, man. My hands are tied. My hands are tied. It's just, you don't understand. My hands are so tied. One phone call, chat. Do not forget. Literally one phone call. Boop. Pull up the phone. Say it's over. It's done. And it's done. One single phone call. That, I think, makes the situation so much worse. And every single person that acted as though that was not the case is a liar. Because if it's not one phone call and Israel doesn't listen, then you deny weapons transfers. And if Israel still doesn't listen and says, okay, we can get weapons elsewhere, then it's sanctions. And if Israel still says, oh, well, we'll get weapons elsewhere and we'll do trade with another country, which, by the way, who the fuck are they going to do trade with at this point and in that predicament, then you invade, okay? Israel knows this, which is why it's just one phone call. It doesn't have to go beyond that.
The situation, of course, that the president is talking about did not happen overnight. Israel cut off all aid to Gaza back in March, saying without evidence that Hamas was stealing all of it, according to a U.S. government review. But when that blockade was partially lifted in May, Israel started relying on a U.S.-backed aid group, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Since then, the United Nations says more than 1,000 people have been killed by Israeli forces while trying to get food. In the face of growing pressure, Israel has started allowing more aid to trickle in over the weekend, but aid groups have said it is not nearly enough. My source tonight is Senator Bernie Sanders.
After sanctions, what? Sorry, cut off on my end. I'm curious. Invading militarily. Invading Israel militarily is the final step if Israel does not comply, but it's not going to happen anyway.
Sanders of Vermont. And Senator, when you hear the Israeli Prime Minister saying there's no starvation happening in Gaza, what, do you believe he's lying?
Of course he's lying. He is a disgusting liar. Israel had a right to defend itself from the terrible Hamas attack. But I think everybody understands that in the last 2.5 years, they've been waging
Bernard,
a
shut
brutal,
up,
horrific,
stop.
Almost unprecedented.
That's definitely getting clip chimped. Oh no, I'm going to be clip chimped where I said if Israel refuses to abide by American sanctions, then they'll get invaded militarily. Really? Oh no. What will I do? I guess I'm being so anti-Semitic for saying that the solution to Israel's genocide literally requires one phone call. And if the phone call doesn't work, then boycotts and sanctions or denying weapons transfers. If denying weapons transfers doesn't work, then sanctions package. And if the sanctions package doesn't work, then you invade Israel militarily. This is just how it works, okay, for every country, but especially important for our allies that require a steady flow of shipment. You can clip it, you can ship it, you can send it to your mama, you can send it to your daddy, okay? For those who said for months, Hasan, you're a terrorist, you're a terrorist, you're a terrorist, you're an anti-Semite, you're an anti-Semite, you're an anti-Semite, you're an anti-Semite, a lot of those are quiet now because they know I was right, okay? So if they're still desperately looking for another thing to hold on to try to demand my deplatforming, okay, I'll continue doing what I'm doing, and then I'll see you in the next 3 to 4 months, okay? You are literally never right. No, don't ban that guy. Come on, come on. It's funny. W Tectone, Asmongold, El Hasan, he says. No, we need to have some pets, dude. Come on. That's too funny to ban.
Type of war, not just against Hamas, but against the Palestinian people. So you got an area, territory there of 2.2 million people. They have already killed 60,000. They have injured 140,000, most of whom
Marcus Trump owns
women,
you.
Children, and the elderly. They have virtually completely destroyed the entire infrastructure of Gaza, virtually all of the schools, the healthcare system, over 70% of the housing, the water system, and now, as you mentioned, for the last period of time, they have prevented humanitarian aid coming in, and there is now mass malnutrition, and children are starving to death. And tomorrow, I will be offering a joint resolution of disapproval to basically say, we cannot continue to provide military aid to the extremist, racist Netanyahu government that is starving the children of Gaza.
And when you try to force the Senate to you're trying to force them to block the sale of weapons to Israel as a result of what you're seeing play out. Do you expect to get more support from Democrats?
We will see. I think there is...
Because of the images we're seeing?
Look, there are a lot of dynamics. And by the way, that takes us to another crisis that goes beyond Gaza, and that is a corrupt campaign finance system. So you have a super PAC called AIPAC that spends hundreds of millions of dollars trying to defend the Netanyahu government. And if you vote for a Sanders resolution or you stand up in other ways in opposition to Netanyahu, they're prepared to fund a whole lot of money against you. But I think the time is now when members of the Senate have got to start listening to their constituents back home. And the American people do not want to spend billions and billions of dollars supporting this horrific war.
What about with the White House? I mean, President Trump is saying that he's seen this, that the First Lady Melania Trump has seen these images. He's saying there is starvation there. You can't fake that. But when he was asked about nude...
Yeah, dude, this is the... I saw the Jordan Weissman take. Jordan Weissman, as Dems converge on agreement that Israel has been committing an atrocity, I do think there needs to be some reckoning among moderates, that while lots of ugly anti-Semitism burst from the left after October 7, the leftists were fundamentally more right about this war, about what this war would become. Then this person responds and says, did centrist Democrats not say up front that we needed a ceasefire ASAP? I feel like I did not remotely exclusively hear this from the left. What a way to massage the narrative. Yeah. Karine Jean-Pierre called calls for a ceasefire repugnant. Okay? ASAP? Get the out of here. ASAP my ass. It's so funny. And also, even this is wishy-washy bullshit. Oh, ugly anti-Semitism burst from the left. The ugly anti-Semitism from the left was hurting people's feelings because we correctly said Israel's an apartheid state that is doing a genocide. Okay? Yeah, comical that centrist writers are writing off early leftist warnings of Israeli genocide as the boy who cried wolf, when our analysis was based on an analysis of Zionist political intentions that proved completely accurate. You guys were only right because your analysis of people perpetuating this war just so happened to line up with what they ended up doing. Yes, that is the point of analysis. You probably forgot it while you were wrong about everything for 20 years. It is insane. Benjamin Netanyahu said Amalek literally the day after. Yoav Gallant, 2 days after, said, we're fighting human animals. We have to shut off their food, their electricity, their water. Oh, wow. It takes a special breed of future seer to literally listen to what the Israeli state members were saying about what kind of war effort that they were going to conduct. Oh, wow. Yeah. There it is. During an October 10th briefing, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who is uniquely bad at her job, literally called a ceasefire, progressive Congress members who call for a ceasefire in the Middle East, disgraceful and repugnant. They're trying to launder their reputation. It's like, dude, delete your tweets first. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Except you can't delete this shit. It's so stupid. Matt Iglesias, another demon. I'm just deeply reluctant to credit the critics for being right, in air quotes, about this. They at every turn took concrete political actions that made the worst case outcomes more rather than less likely. Matt Iglesias is deeply reluctant to credit those of us who understood on day one that Israel was waging a war of extermination as right. It's so funny that these dipshits are trying to do the, oh, well, I guess we were wrong about the Iraq war while it's literally happening and everyone can see it as being fraudulent. Dude, you have to wait. You have to wait like a couple years before you whitewash and launder your reputation. It's still going on. It doesn't make sense to try and spin on the one hand, while on the other hand, you're still trying to defend your lack of interest in stopping the bloodshed. The appropriate thing to say is, and here is God's honest truth, the appropriate thing to say in this circumstance is, we were wrong, the left was right. A critical examination of why we were wrong and the left was right is necessary so that we don't repeat this mistake again. They won't do it because they're in power. I remember when you decided to change your mind about the Iraq war, but why do you think this keeps happening to you? It's because they're careerists, okay? For many of them, it's just about being a careerist because they know they'll never be punished. Actually, they'll be elevated for being wrong. They're deliberately wrong. They're deliberately obtuse. They're inhumane amoral monsters, okay? All of them. And I said this on October 8th, and I said this on October 9th, 2023, and I continue to say it. Go back and watch any of the videos that I have from back then that people love clipping out of context to talk about how passionate I was and how wrong I was for being such, for demonstrating such passion. And you will see that anger was perfectly warranted. I was right then, and I'm right now, and so are many of you. Many of you who maybe initially thought it's a bridge too far how quickly Hasan is defending Palestinians here. I mean, October 7 just happened, but at least you have the decency to sit there quietly, listen, learn, and change your position as the environment changes. All your Twitch VODs get deleted when you got banned. Wait, what? Yeah, but they come back when I'm unbanned. Yeah. Anti-Semitism in the U.S. rages while college protests intensify. Now, police detaining anti-Israel protesters. Worst case scenario, watchdog agency says. Student activism over Gaza. Admirable or ill-informed? Gazans are dying of starvation. One day, everyone will have been against this. Okay? Yeah, I didn't shy away from saying the truth, even one iota, since day one. I believed that people would inevitably realize the unavoidable reality. And thankfully, there were plenty of others who also recognized right from wrong and literally continued to protest and never shied away from keeping up the pressure, because all of that pressure amounted to the public sentiment shifting dramatically, regardless of all of the legal criminal repercussions that people faced. All of the student activists on college campuses that made those college encampments and then got destroyed for it, had their diplomas taken away from them. I was low-key in the exact same position on 10-8. I kind of thought you were being insane when you were talking about Palestine in that way after 10-7, but unsurprisingly, you were right all along. And of course, I now know exactly why you said all that shit. Years of HasanAbi vindication is real. Also, this is precisely the reason why I'm still understanding of people who at least recognize that they were wrong, no matter how far along they are, because there are still plenty of pieces of shit like Matt Iglesias who know better, but are doing it because they're careerists. I tweeted this earlier. I said, for those of you finally coming to terms with what Palestinians have been saying for years, I hope this is a time for self-reflection. If not for careerist reasons, how could you have gotten something so heinous, so wrong? Let this be a wake-up call and start the pressure immediately. It's so crazy to do this. What a clown ass this dipshit is. I think you're blurring issues. I agree with the protest taxes were often counterproductive. Why were they counterproductive? And they were wrong about the stakes in 2024. Why were they wrong? Someone needs to explain to me why those protests were counterproductive. That's why I don't understand what Controversy was talking about too, when she was like, you know, you're just making people angry. That's it. By showing what the Palestinians are screaming about. I mean, look at the environment. The fuck protests were wrong. If it wasn't for the protests, everyone would have shut up and lived along with their daily lives as the Holocaust kept being unfolded in front of everyone's eyes in broad daylight. What do you mean? What was wrong about the protest tactics? But I also think that in the first month of the war, the left had a better read on what was to come from Israel. What was wrong? What was wrong? No one likes to admit they were wrong, especially about one of the most awful catastrophes of the century. You're 2-2 with Palestine and Iraq, says Jacob Silverman, the Matt Iglesias. This is why it's important when you talk about E or D or Nazi mold. They were and are spreading bullshit defending Israel, among other shit. It isn't just drama. It's trying to show these idiots are wrong on what they spew. Yes, they are objectively wrong. Their politics are objectionable. They're repugnant, but they're also wrong. Who wants to be wrong all the time? This is what I don't understand. You'd rather be wrong in your hug box? It doesn't make any sense. The time should pay a price. They've been in jihad mode for a long time in a lot of ways. Freak, dude. The more wrong they are, the more the crowd of the angrier the crowd gets, and the bigger that crowd gets, that is calling out Israel's genocide, the more Israel defenders lose their minds. They become increasingly unhinged. You see? That's what's so crazy about this. The protests were wrong because their team had the presidency at the moment. It's like, I care about the issue. I don't care if it's a D. The only thing I heard from the left was October 7 was good and justified, and I do not feel like this has been vindicated by subsequent events. Oh my God. There were so many exit ramps for these people to get off. Okay, so many different moments where they could be like, okay, this is a bridge too far. So many bridges they crossed. It's getting to a point where you won't be able to cross a bridge. It's already there. And I understand why some people will say, nope, it's already, we're far gone at that point. And I agree. But the more bridges you cross, okay, the more aggressive you have to be in defending Palestinians. Like, you have to turn into a Fedayeen. Okay, you have to put on the goddamn Al-Qassam Brigades, Al-Aqsa Flood war banner and run around talking about how Hamas is glorious and great at this point to make up for what you have done wrong thus far in this genocide. Okay? You've crossed too many exit ramps, too many dead children in the process that you watched and said, it's justifiable. Okay? If you want to make up for it, you got to turn around and put that banner on. Okay? Islam and talk about the Al-Aqsa floods. Because what else can you do at that point? You know what I mean? So many moments where you could have just been like, maybe this is kind of fucked up, when they were blowing up Lebanon, blowing up Syria. Oh, there are still people who literally think that it was the left's miscalculation for focusing on the genocide and not the Democratic Party's miscalculation for thinking that average people, not just like card-carrying leftists, would actually be horrified by an administration that does not give a fuck about the violence that has unfolded in broad daylight. It was consequential, okay? It was fucking consequential. Do I need to repent too? I only found out how bad it is. I don't care. You don't have to tell me that you only found out how bad it is after the election. Just keep that to yourself. Especially when you're an anonymous person online. You don't have to literally fucking be like, I was completely oblivious to the death and destruction after a year and a half, you know? That's why whenever I hear someone fucking say, well, what about October 7 now? Okay. When I hear someone say, what about October 7? What about Hamas? Do you condemn Hamas right now, 22 months in? I'm like, you are a fucking animal, dude. What are you talking about? There have been thousands of October 7s, far more consequential and far worse than October 7 ever could be. There's like 3 October 7s a week, dude. What are you talking about, October 7? Yeah, it's not condemn Hamas. Do you condone Hamas? That's the real fucking if you want to act like you're making up for your failures, you got to fucking condone Hamas. Do you condone Hamas is the question. Ridiculous. See, people still have that hang up. They go wild. Is it? It's not even like calculable. Collective punishment is still unacceptable. It's still unacceptable law. Exactly. Which is why what Israel's doing is fucking undeniably evil. Warnock flips. Will vote to block weapons. He went back on it. He had originally voted to block weapons, and then he got yelled at by like all of these Israel advocacy groups that masquerade as Jewish advocacy groups. And now he's back. I suspect John Ossoff will also get back as well. Remember, these guys are from a fucking red state, all right? It's especially concerning that Raphael Warnock folded as a person who literally is equipped with the knowledge of liberation theology. I've made it clear I support the state of Israel and its right to defend itself. No more of this. Israel has a right to defend itself. Bullshit. The fuck do you mean? Nazi Germany has a right to defend itself. Does Russia have? Do we get to decide who has a right to defend itself and who doesn't have a right to defend itself? It seems like it. Palestinians, no right to defend themselves. Yeah, just put the vote in the bag is right. The funniest backlash and subsequent flip happened immediately after October 7. Many of you are not Turkish speakers, so you don't know this. But I made big waves in the nationalist side of Turkish Twitter and Turkish Twitch specifically. Okay? October 8th or 9th, I said Turks kept coming into the chat because they fucking hate Arabs. They were like, oh, dude, fuck you. Hamas are all Arab dogs. You know, we stand with Israel type shit. That's what they were on. Okay. Now they would never admit to that. Okay. But so many motherfuckers came after me so aggressively. I said the Turks defending Israel are dogs. Okay. I said the Turks that are defending Israel are dogs of the West, not realizing that Israel is an extension of American Western imperialism, and they do not, American and Western imperialists do not see you any differently than Arabs. I called them servile dogs. They said I was racist. They demanded I get banned. They were losing their fucking minds. You know what's really funny? It took like 3 days for the entire Turkish population to fucking revolt against Israel, and every single person that had said that deleted their fucking tweets calling me out. It was the most swift action reaction I've ever seen in my life. Okay? Turkey to this day is the one country in NATO that fucking hates America and hates Israel. It's like 80% and 90%, which is so funny. I've never seen vindication so fast. Yeah, big Turkish streamers came after me. They were going crazy. They were like doxing my family and shit. What happened? I'm confused. They hate Arabs in Israel. A lot of Turkish people hate Arabs because of the a lot of Turkish people don't like Arabs because of the Syrian migrants. Yeah. Look at this. 93% have a unfavorable opinion of Israel in Turkey. It is the highest percentage. I thought it was a betrayal of the Ottoman Empire by Arabs. That plays a role in it for sure. That definitely plays a role in it. Silmediler ki unutuldu gitti. Kendileri ırkçı oldukları için hiç umurlarında değildi. Anyway, on that note, I wanted to leave you with like some vindication, some semblance of positivity here. I'm done for the day.